I'd like to call the Monday, September 19th, City Council meeting to order. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilman Vincent.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Clerk Treasurer Parthune.
Councilman Frankie.
Here.
Councilwoman Ficus.
Present.
Councilman Vincent.
Here.
Councilman Galloway.
Here.
Councilwoman Cutler is absent. Councilwoman West.
Here.
Councilwoman Konechny.
Present.
6 present, 1 absent.
Approval of minutes. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes is presented. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Petitions and comments of citizens. We do have 2 comment cards. Please state your name and address for the record, and please, no personal attacks. You'll have 3 minutes, and we'll begin with Charity Hilvasa, Downtown Spooktacular, which I can't believe it's that time of the year.
Hi, everybody. Charity Lafsa from 403 Willow Bend Drive. Just wanted to make the official announcement. October 8th is a downtown spooktacular. The vendor event runs in conjunction with the farmers market, so that'll be starting in the morning. We will have a hay maze and a bounce house in the plaza for the kids. How fun. $1 to get through the hay maze, but the first 100 kids will be sponsored by the Hot Spot Cafe. And trick-or-treating from 1 to 3, and we're hoping to have the hay maze go into early evening because it'd be fun in the dark, but we have to look into the rules and regulations on that one. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you for all you do, and at some point, you're going to have to pronounce your last name correctly,
Lafsa.
because I had it right, so just one of these
Don't
times.
say the H. Lafsa.
So let's get the word out. That's a fantastic. Charity's done a tremendous amount of work to get the community engaged downtown. Thank you for all you're doing.
You're welcome. Does anybody have any questions?
No.
Come have some fun.
Awesome.
Rick Ogle.
Rick Ogle, 1902 Indiana Ave. It's that time of year again. I was driving here, and from the extension on Michigan Ave to here, there are 17 advertising signs in the street, in the tree lawn, and over half are political. I think that's against city ordinance, and maybe someone should be told not to do it. Just saying.
Thank you. We're not used to that because it never happens during the city elections. We all place them properly. Great. So as a part of the public comments, we have Brad Cook here from Proven IT, formerly Think Tank. And we thought in this day and age with all the tech and upgrades and protections necessary, we saw what happened to LaPorte County when they weren't properly protected. We thought it'd be a great opportunity for Brad to give a very brief synopsis of what you've all done for us, what you face on a daily basis. And I think Brad and I had a meeting at the police department, and to just hear how many times people or individual or groups are trying to get into our system through the police department. Do you mind sharing all the work that you do? And then at the end, we're going to kind of announce something. So,
Absolutely. Council, citizens, my name is Brad Cook. I am the Director of Sales for the Proven IT. Thank you for hearing out on this portion of the presentation. Just kind of brief synopsis again. I'll be very brief. Last year, we've seen a lot of intrusional attempts on the city of LaPorte itself, and in general municipalities have been a large target for information technology attacks or any sort of infiltration attempts. And they're a big target because they have the money, and they have a lot of information that a lot of bad people really want. This past year, we've really put a lot of focus on protecting the city, and as we always have. But we've upped our game significantly over this past year. We've changed the infiltration technology software, in which it's completely upgraded to follow a lot what the U.S. government uses, and follow the whole strict new guidelines in which we can help keep people out. To talk to the points in particular, just to give you kind of a brief idea of what kind of attempts that we see a lot, especially against the police department, which is like a very large target across the U.S. Municipalities, and municipalities are one, but police departments are a very large target. I would say the last 2 months, we've probably seen anywhere between 200 and 300 attempts, soft attacks against the police station system. Soft attacks that are absolutely stopped at our point of entries. We really focus on every different layer of attempt that they can get in. We follow all the protocols, and we've had 0 infiltrations on the police department thanks to our efforts there. Working with the city, working with the police department in the last year has been a very, very big point for us, and mainly because they are such a large target, and it has been a very, very good, we're able to keep everybody out that's not supposed to be in. So I look forward again in the upcoming months here to continue our reports, and of course, as we move along throughout the year and then go into the holiday season, which is a very high traffic spot for theft and ID theft and all the different things that you see against municipalities, we'll make sure to keep the city safe.
Questions for Brad? I'd also like to say, we really look for partnerships. And when we were speaking with Brad and said, look, the one thing we do is we struggle with our TV to allow transparency with the public so that they can see when we're making presentations and so forth. And thanks to Courtney Parthune, thanks to Brad, we came in a day and Brad said, well, we're donating 2 TVs, we're donating a laptop so that we can have, up-to-date technology so we can provide as much information and our residents can see. And obviously, we got work to do on this, which we'll solve.
Yes.
And, but we're excited. So on behalf of myself and hopefully the council, we certainly appreciate your gift, your donation to the city. And this is definitely beneficial for everybody, not only on the council or in our administration, but the residents as well. So thank you.
Yeah.
Questions for Brad,
No,
by the way?
Is that the reason that we had to authenticate all of our emails?
Yes, that's a large part of it. Actually, that portion that we just did with the city, that was a huge undertaking that we really wanted to make sure that was implemented sooner than later.
Okay.
That keeps a lot of the infiltration on your email accounts, and obviously a big target for the municipality. So yes, that's part of that big portion of it.
Okay, thank
The
you.
second factor of authentication. We already had it
Second,
authenticated.
right, sorry,
Yes,
sorry,
yes.
that,
The multi-factor
Multi,
authentication.
right.
Yes, it'll keep
Thank you.
increase your security within the city by a gigantic amount. So,
thank you,
anyone else? Anyone have questions?
thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Brad.
Thank you, Brad. Standing committee reports. President Frankie.
The Diversity and Inclusion Committee meets this Thursday at 5 p.m. here in council chambers. The Sustainability Committee meets Monday the 26th, 4 p.m. in council chambers, and the Redevelopment Commission meets Wednesday the 28th, 5:15 p.m. in council chambers. That's all.
Councilwoman Ficus.
Park Board will be meeting this Wednesday, September 21st, 4 p.m. at the Park Office, and then Traffic Commission's next meeting will be Tuesday, October 4th, 5 p.m. at the Police Station.
Councilman Vincent.
Last week on the 13th, we had a Plan Commission meeting. During that Plan Commission meeting, among other things, the primary piece of business was related to the annexation that we're doing, and we got a favorable recommendation as well as a zoning designation from the Plan Commission.
Councilman Galloway.
Last Tuesday, the Police Merit Commission met. There's a resignation of Brandon Wilkerson, and they got permission to hire another officer. And Officer Hagler is cleared to come back to work. And Patton Cemetery met last Wednesday on the 14th. They're trying to get some prisoners to help keep the cemetery weeds and stuff down. They had discussion on the fence on the north side, and fall cleanup is November 5th from 8 to 12. And the Mayor's Veterans Committee is meeting tomorrow at 5 o'clock at the Park Department. And I think they're going to have the meal on Veterans Day right at the VFW.
That's fantastic. And just to update, since that, I think the fall cleanup is now going to be November 7th through the 11th. I just found out, so I apologize, Roger. 7th through the 11th. Councilwoman West.
Yes, Ian Eldridge was introduced as the new Fire Merit Commission member to serve out the remainder of Ed Gondik's term. He was appointed by the Board of Public Works and Safety. It has also been reported that August 31st was designated as the end of the firefighters' annual performance rating period. So the department officers will begin rating their shift personnel soon to have all this complete by December 10th deadline, and the next meeting will be Wednesday, October 5th at 6:30.
Councilwoman Konechny.
HPC. In conjunction with Indiana Landmarks, the LaPorte Historical Preservation Commission will be co-sponsoring a hands-on workshop of the basics of historic window construction and restoration. The workshop will cover common problems, best practices, and materials for repair, restoration tips, and ways to improve energy efficiency. This workshop will be held on Saturday, October 22nd from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Central Standard Time at the LaPorte Healthcare Foundation. Tickets are free for Indiana Landmarks members and are only $5 for the general public. Please note, pre-registration is required for this event. A link to the registration can be found on the city's website through the HPC's page. For specific questions, please contact hpc@cityoflaportein.gov. The next meeting for the HPC, is scheduled for Tuesday, October 18th at 5:30 here in Council Chambers. And the Airport Authority. The LaPorte Municipal Airport will once again host their ever-popular Scareport on Saturday, October 8th from 1 to 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. It's going to be real spooky in LaPorte on the 8th. Come on out for trick-or-treating at the LaPorte Municipal Airport. Children of all ages are welcome to register, and the airport is handicap accessible to wheelchairs. Registration is free, however, space is limited due to the amount of candy that is donated for the event. Please visit laporteairport.com for more details and to register online. The Airport Authority will meet next on Wednesday, October 12th at 5:15 at the airport. End of report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Galloway, introduction of a resolution.
Your Honor, I'd like to introduce a resolution.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Councilman Galloway.
A resolution adopting a definitive policy and written fiscal plan. Whereas Indiana Code Section 36-4-3, sorry about that, I don't know how to. -4-3, 3-1D requires that a municipality develop a written fiscal plan and establish a definitive policy by resolution that meets the requirements set forth in Indiana Code Section 34-4-13-3 for an area proposed to be annexed, and whereas the City of LaPorte, Indiana City has prepared a fiscal plan for an area to be annexed as a result of a voluntary petition submitted by the owners of the territory, annexation territory. And whereas the written fiscal plan complies with the requirements of Indiana law regarding the provision of capital and non-capital services to the annexation territory and should be adopted by the city. Now therefore be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of LaPorte, Indiana as follows. The written fiscal plan attached hereto and incorporated as Exhibit A is hereby adopted for annexation territory, and the proposed annexation is set forth in the ordinance for annexation for the LaPorte Municipal Airport. And the resolution.
Attorney Otis, could you give a little bit of information regarding this resolution?
Sure. Anytime a municipality annexes land or property into the city, a fiscal plan must be approved by resolution by the council to, and the fiscal plan just identifies, as it states, the cost of annexing property into the city. The fiscal plan was prepared by Baker Tilly and complies with state statute. Of note, this is 49.66 acres on the south end of the airport. Pursuant to the fiscal plan, it is anticipated there will be no additional cost to the city as a result of the annexation, and the city will not realize an increase in its levy as a result of the annexation because the annexed area is tax exempt. So it's about a 20-page report, but that 2 paragraphs kind of boils it down for everybody.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion from council? Anybody from the public that would like to speak on this? Hearing none. All those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Councilwoman Konechny, second and final reading.
Your Honor, I move to read an ordinance for the second time by title only.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Councilwoman Konechny.
An ordinance of the Common Council of the City of LaPorte, Indiana, annexing to and bringing within the city limits of LaPorte, Indiana, and amending the zoning ordinance for the property located in Scipio Township, contiguous herewithin.
Attorney Otis.
Again, this is the second and final reading of the annexation of the 49.6 acres of land that the airport owns. This ordinance also rezones the parcel to airport, which was favorably recommended by the Plan Commission, correct? Anything else that came up, Mr. Vincent, at the Plan Commission meeting?
No, very positive.
Yep, yep. And again, just for the record, since there were so many questions, whether or not the airport ever realigns or not, it's important that this come into the city and be rezoned so that the municipality has control over this land.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Questions, comments from the council? Questions, comments from the public? Hearing none, all those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Councilman Frankie.
Your Honor, I move to read an ordinance for the second time by title only.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Councilman President Frankie.
An ordinance regulating the use of golf carts within the corporate limits of the city of LaPorte. And
President Frankie, would you like to give a little just review of this?
Basically, this ordinance will allow the use of golf carts within the city limits, provided that the driver is 16 and a half, and it's insured, has lights, turn signals, brake lights, all that good safety stuff. And I look forward to seeing Mr. Otis drive by my house on one day.
And just a reminder, they can't be driven on state highways. They can cross them, but cannot drive
Right.
on them.
Nor
Or in
park,
the parks.
parkland
Yep.
is off limits as well.
Yep.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion from council.
And this did go through Traffic Commission, is that correct?
It did.
Okay.
Yes, Your Honor, I still
Councilman
believe
Galloway?
if they want to drive them on the streets, go to the BMV and get a plate.
Further discussion? Anybody from the public that would like to speak? Yes, ma'am, please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Lori Silva, and my residence is here in LaPorte. And I agree with Mr. Galloway.
Good, somebody does. Let me say that.
Okay?
Roger,
My
thank you.
point, and the reason, number one, the person that's driving it better have a license, because everybody else has to have a license to drive on a street, whatever kind of vehicle that's motorized, right?
Now, you can drive you can drive a moped without a license.
Really? That's ignorant, personally.
I'm just telling you what the law is. I didn't make it.
Right. But, you know, if it's got 4 wheels, 2 wheels, if it quacks, it's a duck. okay?
No.
Come on. Let's be safe. Granted, you know, the insurance, the lights, the everything else, put tags on it. Put a driver's license in that 16-year-old's pocket. Just saying. Thought.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public? Please state your name.
Hi, Brian Cager. I know we just ran across this the first meeting of the month, and we left here, and I pull out onto Highway 4 heading towards my mother's house, and I'm just guessing, but there's probably a 13-year-old with her family, and she's driving down Highway 4 in their golf cart.
And I know where your mom lives, so
Yeah.
I know.
So I mean, that's, you know, if we're going to pass this, which I'm all in favor of it, we are a lakeside community, and it's pretty common in most lakeside communities. But we definitely have to enforce that people can't drive on state highways. And Monroe Street is Highway 4. So doesn't matter if you're in town or out by Fish Lake, it's still Highway 4. So, thank you.
Thank you. Further comments from council? Hearing none, all those in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay?
Motion passes 5-1. Councilwoman Ficus, second and final reading.
Your Honor, I move to read an ordinance for the second and final time by title only.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Councilwoman Ficus.
Additional appropriation for ARP Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Fund, Fund Number 2401. End of ordinance.
Mark Shriver, do you mind giving a little breakdown of this briefly, please?
Good evening. So as the mayor asked me to come up, I'll fill you in a little bit. And we discussed this obviously at length last meeting, but essentially what we're doing is trying to make sure we keep the Civic Auditorium viable for the next 2 generations, 3 generations. We feel like the Civic has been such a huge part of our community. But we have a HVAC system that the boilers are from 1967, 1971, 50-plus years old. They need replacing desperately, but we do need to go to a new system. We have radiated heat throughout the upper part of the building. We need to go to forced air in the arena. This will allow us to operate more often. The Civic Auditorium, and again, to go back to the seating as well, the seating is original to the building, not so much because it's historic, just because of deferred maintenance that has happened over the years. Just has not been prioritized or funded to get caught up to modern times. So we're very happy to be able to do this. We hope that you support this. The Civic Auditorium has meant a lot to the community in a lot of different ways. There are some in the community who think it's a place only for entertainment and for our pleasures. That's hardly true. It has been the place for a lot of fundraisers, for a lot of local organizations, hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years that have been raised for a variety of different organizations. But more importantly, it's where we go when we have need, and we did with the COVID pandemic. It was the site for 18 months of COVID testing. And not because necessarily we jumped up and said, hey, give us 18 months. We couldn't find another facility in the area that would be able to do it. We took it on because nobody else stepped up to be able to do it, and we knew that's one of the purposes that the Fox family gave us that building for. So subsequently, the vaccinations, we've done food drives, blood drives, it's a place of sheltering. It's an important place for our community to have. And again, we brought people up last week, they gave you their testimony. A lot of it was heartfelt, and we just really believe in this project. So we really hope that you will approve this funding, and we look forward to a bright future for what really is a mainstay, a really very important entity in our community.
Questions for Mr. Schreiber?
Sarah and I were there Saturday night working Hoosier Star, which was a great event, but by the end of the night, I was covered in sweat and thinking,
Yeah.
All
so-
right,
so
this air
September
conditioner
can
is
be a
worth it.
tricky time, and now we can make it into a 12-month-a-year venue. And again, 12-month-a-year venue to, yes, number one, we do want to bring in events that'll bring in revenue, that'll take some of the tax burden off of, the local taxpayer if we can become more self-sustaining, which we have, and we've made plans to do so. And Brett Benversi's done a great job of leading the charge on that. But also, we're able to, again, if we have a heat wave, if we have something that hits our town, and we know that these are things that could potentially happen in the future, we have a place where we could shelter a lot of people when they need a cooling center, when they need a place to go. These changes are not just strictly for our pleasure entertainment purposes, although that's a great use of the Civic. We've all enjoyed many a show there. But the Civic really is the city's building, and to be used in the proper way. And of course, all of the park programs and everything else that have been done over the years. So I appreciate Councilman Franklin recognizing that we need to think about the comfort of the people that come and use the venue.
Yeah.
Further questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion from the council.
Long overdue. I'm really happy to see all these changes.
Anybody from the public that would like to speak on the Civic being upgraded for the next 100 years?
Fascinating way of putting it.
Further discussion from the council? All those in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. It's a great move for the future of LaPorte. So now it brings us to that time of the year with our budget. It is budget season, and we like to give a budget presentation that the council has reviewed as well for the first time to the public here. So you'll be glad to know you can ask any questions you'd like after this brief presentation. And let's start here. As you can see, City of LaPorte on these brand-new TVs, thanks to Brad Cook and Proven IT, that I may also mention is a official sponsor of the playoff-bound Chicago White Sox, for those that need to know. But if we want to start, Courtney?
Sure.
So-
You're done with the White Sox.
What this overview includes are budget challenges, budget priorities, a summary, 2022 goals, our update report, and then 2023 goals, and taking any questions. So we're going to begin with the budget challenges and assumptions. So if you look, we've spoke, and probably every community has spoke about the circuit breaker loss, the tax caps each year, how to overcome that. If you remember last year when we spoke about circuit breakers, we were at about 31%. Loss of revenue, and I think I said at that time last year, I'm not sure how many businesses can have their budget reduced by 31% and still expect to provide all the services without making any cuts. This year, we're making progress. So we are down in this year to an estimated 28% loss, or even better than that, which we'll know in the early spring of next year. But that means we have to continue to grow our net assessed value, which we've seen. This year, it grew by 8%. One of the other challenges, potential assessment freeze by the legislature. As they move into a budget season, there's been some discussion of potential assessment freezes by the state legislature for low-income and senior homeowners, which sounds great and is a great thing for those low-income homeowners, those seniors. But who will take the hit on that are the local units of government like the city. And the legislature members that I've spoke to, we would catch up our funds when the house eventually sold, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. The assessment would stay the same until the property was sold, and then we'd catch up on those lost revenue dollars that we may have lost for those many years. So we're going to keep an eye as this session begins in January to see what will happen. Also, you'll remember last year was the business personal property tax. I'm sure that will be brought up in a budget year as well. Some of the main areas: maintaining a structurally balanced general fund budget. We spoke last year, the first time since 2015. Our clerk treasurer, Courtney Parthune, really focused, saying we wanted a general fund, structurally balanced budget. That we spend no more than we have coming in, just like homeowners and residents like yourself have to do every day. And as you can see, 2022 was the first structurally balanced general fund budget. That will continue again, thanks to Courtney Parthune and her team, to do so while we continue to find new ways to attract and then keep the talent at the city. We know right now with the employment opportunities in private business, our quality team has opportunities privately, most likely all for more funds, more benefits, and so forth. So we have to continue to find new ways to keep the talent here to move our community forward. Bolstering our public safety, utilizing the local income tax that was passed to create a competitive wage for our public servants and allow for the purchase of new technology. We are quickly moving into technology that you've heard Chief Breton speak about, Chief Snyder, and it's very important in this day and age that the city of LaPorte does everything possible to keep our residents safe. Cracking down on drug trafficking through law and code enforcement. Again, we see the issues with fentanyl, not only in the city of LaPorte or LaPorte County, the state of Indiana, or across the country. Our officers are continuing to fight an uphill battle to keep people safe and to keep drugs off the street. Creating support for for those struggling with mental health and addiction. Our officers, our firefighters, that's not what they're set up to do. And so we need to think of new ways, potentially with social workers, paramedicine, where paramedicine, we have individuals from potentially fire departments going into homes to make sure that individuals are taking their medicine, that they're doing okay, that they're not having to come consistently into the hospitals and then sent home day or week after week. And then improving our essential services. Maximizing our dollars to continue improving our roads, sidewalks, water, and wastewater infrastructure. Any of you have seen us have to weld the decks of our snow trucks. For a community our size, we are investing into mechanics that can help keep our crews on the road, but as well committing funds to equipment that'll keep us going. And we started with the park department last year, and we're going to continue to do so to upgrade our fleet of product that, again, will take care of snow, parks, maintenance, everything possible. As our budget summary, again, we live within our means, but as well, we would never ask our residents to use every last dollar of their savings. We feel you should increase your savings, just like our general fund is most important, and we should have a cash reserves because we don't know what the future will look like. And so we should be at about 25%. And if you remember when Courtney Parthune and myself and our administration took over, the future look by Baker Tilly showed us definitely going downhill, losing our cash reserves till 2025. As you can see here, with what I think is responsible decisions made by the city council, by the clerk treasurer's office, we're setting in a different position today than we were 2.5 years ago. And in fact, to the point where we will review some of these cash reserves, where some dollars need to be put back into work of each of our departments. Our 2022 goal status report. Number one, fiscal responsibility. As you see, work towards balancing the park fund in the coming years, using alternative dollars to fund future programming. We understand for what we want to do in the special park system that we have, we need to have enough dollars to keep it going and programming, but we can't use tax dollars. We have to find new ways and different ways to do things. And we started with the Civic Auditorium, and I think you've seen the great work that Brett Benversi and his team has done, and we're excited that more will come to the Civic and other areas of our community. Growing our community, focus on growing our net assessment. What we're doing is working. We have to continue to plan and continue to grow our assessment and hold those high standards that we talked about on day one. Increase all types of housing for LaPorte. We began, the first thing we had to do was come in here 2.5 years ago and clean house and set new standards. The slumlords have a new feeling about our community, and the code enforcement and our team will not lower standards as we continue to move forward. And I don't think we've had at 701 Maple one police call since the new owners have taken over. Not one. And I think in our first year, we had 154 in our first 143 days. So it's going to continue. One thing we're recognizing are the higher-end housing individuals that are looking for higher-end housing don't have it available in our community currently, so they're buying those more reasonable homes, more cost-competitive homes, those workforce housing homes. So we need housing across the board, including especially workforce housing. And if you didn't see, Habitat for Humanities has already have one house almost complete, and we're excited to see what they're going to do at Tidma Bakery. And then explore annexation opportunities in currently serviced areas. The Bar property, 217 acres, and you've heard the discussion of 39 North Conservancy District, where we're actually focused on improving the infrastructure of water for those members of 39 North. And what's our goals for 2023? Number one, creating support for those struggling with mental health and addiction. It's not an easy plan to come through, and as we've been to Westfield, as we've been to different Indianapolis communities, to everywhere in between to Northwest Indiana, nobody has the right answer yet to make a difference, but we're trying, and we're going to continue to move forward with that. Continuing to maximize efficiencies and find creative revenue opportunities to balance all funds. We are treating it somewhat like a business, live within our means, and find new ways to continue to move forward, and then as well, as we've talked about since day one, continue efforts to grow our net assessment. With that, I'll be glad to take any questions from the council. Public, do you have any questions? Bert Cook? Hearing none, we will now move forward with Councilman Vincent, public hearing and introduction of an ordinance.
Honorable Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to introduce an ordinance read for its first time this evening.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Councilman Vincent.
That's okay.
Ordinance or resolution for appropriations and tax rates. Be it ordained and resolved by the City of LaPorte Common Council for the expenses of the city, the LaPorte Civil City, for the year ending December 31, 2023. The sums herein specified are hereby appropriated in order set apart out of the several funds herein named for the purposes herein specified, subject to the laws governing the same. Such sums herein appropriated shall be held to include all expenditures authorized to be made during the year, unless otherwise expressly stipulated and provided by law. In addition, for the purpose of raising revenue to meet the necessary expenses for the LaPorte Civil City, the property tax levies and property tax rates as herein specified are included herein. Budget Form 4-B for all the funds must be completed and submitted in a manner prescribed by the Department of Local Government Finance. This ordinance resolution shall be in full force and effect upon its passage and approval by the City of LaPorte Common Council. Funds. Fund name Casino/Riverboat. Budget adopted $150,000. Adopted tax levy 0. Adopted tax rate 0. Fund name General. Adopted budget $11,473,927. Adopted tax levy $10,600,000. Adopted tax rate 1.7417. Property maintenance, adopted budget, $135,000. Adopted tax levy, $85,000. Adopted tax rate, 0.4910. Non-reverting, adopted budget, $155,000. Adopted tax levy, 0. Adopted tax rate, 0. Bond number 2, adopted budget, $302,930. Adopted tax levy, $303,838. Adopted tax rate, 0.0499. Loan and interest payments, adopted budget, $351,500. Adopted tax levy, $385,533. Adopted tax rate, 0.0633. Fire pension, adopted budget, $1,019,944. Adopted tax levy, 0. Adopted tax rate, 0. Police pension, adopted budget, $645,064. Adopted tax levy, 0. Adopted tax rate, 0. Local roads and streets, adopted budget, $490,000. Adopted tax levy, 0. Adopted tax rate, 0. Motor vehicle highway, adopted budget, $1,537,768. Adopted tax levy, $280,651. Adopted tax rate, 0.0461. Major moves, toll road, adopted budget, $252,000. Adopted tax levy, 0. Adopted tax rate, 0. Civic Center, adopted budget, $416,018. Adopted tax levy, 0. Adopted tax rate, 0. Non-reverting capital projects, adopted budget, $45,000. Adopted tax levy, 0. Adopted tax rate, 0. Park and Recreation, adopted budget, $1,842,208. Adopted tax levy, $1,544,868. Adopted tax rate, 0.2538. Park non-reverting capital fund, adopted budget, $8,464. Adopted tax levy, 0. Adopted tax rate, 0. Recreation, adopted budget, $335,690. Adopted tax rate, 0. Adopted tax rate, 0. Adopted tax levy, 0. Cumulative capital improvements fund, adopted budget, $25,000. Adopted tax levy, 0. Adopted tax rate, 0. Cumulative capital development, adopted budget, $274,313. Adopted tax levy, $412,539. Adopted tax rate, 0.0678. Economic development income tax credit, adopted budget, or C-edit, adopted budget, $1,961,732. Adopted tax levy, 0. Adopted tax rate, 0. That creates a total adopted budget of $21,421,558. The adopted tax levy is $13,612,419 with an adopted tax rate of 2.7136. Got some additional appropriations and tax rates. Kiwanis Teledyne, adopted budget, 0. Law enforcement, continuing education, $40,000. Golf non-reverting, $10,000. Municipal surtax fund, $525,000. Municipal wheel tax fund, $25,000. Unsafe building fund, $3,295. Transport, $726,983. Public safety local income tax lit, $1,610,145. Community development block grant program, $963,136 for a total adopted budget of $3,903,559. End of ordinance.
So this is an ordinance. I will now open up for a public hearing for the public. Has this been advertised?
It has. It was submitted to the state of Indiana's Gateway program on September 1st, 2022 at 5:25 PM.
Anybody from the public that would like to speak on the budget? Ladies from South Central? Good? Anybody else like to speak on the budget? Hearing none, I will now close the public hearing, and we will move the ordinance for appropriations to the,
October 3rd.
geez, October 3rd meeting.
I knew that one this time. I was ready for it.
Can't believe we're in October.
Mayor, I have a question.
Councilman Galloway.
On the major moves, is that what we have left?
That's what we have left.
And congrats to you who've been on the council, and Carol, and those long-term people that, have kept the funds. They made the best use of that and used a lot of years, so you got a lot of work out of that. Thank you both. Okay, Councilwoman West.
Your Honor, I move to introduce an ordinance read for the first time in its entirety.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Councilwoman West.
An ordinance for appropriations and tax rates. Be it ordained by the LaPorte Common Council that for the expenses of LaPorte redevelopment for the year ending in December 31st, 2023, the sums herein specified are hereby appropriated in order to set apart out of the several funds herein named and for the purposes herein specified, subject to the laws governing the same. Such sums herein appropriated shall be held to include all expenditures authorized to be made during the year unless otherwise expressly stipulated and provided for by law. In addition, for the purposes of raising revenue to meet the necessary expenses of LaPorte redevelopment. The property tax levies and property tax rates are herein specified are included herein. Budget Form 4B for all funds must be completed and submitted in a manner prescribed by the Department of Local Government Finance. This ordinance shall be in full force and effect from and after its passage and approval by the LaPorte Common Council. Fund Code 0183, Fund Name, Bond Number 3, Adopted Budget $1,603,480. Adopted Tax Levy $0. This is reminding me of something I saw on TV where this news broadcaster was having a stroke on TV. My mouth and brain are not working together. Adopted tax rate,
Zero.
0. Wow. Fund Code 2431, Redevelopment Capital. Adopted budget $65,000. Adopted tax levy $0, and adopted tax rate 0. 2482 is the fund code, redevelopment bond is the fund name, and the adopted budget is $1,594,000. Adopted tax levy 0, adopted tax rate 0. Fund code 8480, fund name, special redevelopment debt. The adopted budget is $298,500. The adopted tax levy is $350,000, and the adopted tax rate is 0.0575, for a total of adopted budget of $3,560,000, $3,560,980. Adopted tax levy $350,000, and adopted tax rate is 0.0575. Home ruled funds. Fund code 9500, fund name, redevelopment TIF number 3, adopted budget $65,000, for a total of $65,000. End of ordinance.
Thank you. Clerk Treasurer Parthun, would you like to speak on this?
Sure. The redevelopment fund names are somewhat confusing. Sorry, Craig. We're trying to get that changed with the DLGF. They wouldn't let me again this year, but I'll keep trying every year. So Fund Code 0183, 2431, 2482, and 9500 are TIFs 1, 2, 3, and 4. There's only one actual debt within the TIF area. That's the special redevelopment debt, and that's where you see the adopted tax levy and the adopted tax rate. So the rest of them are just the TIFs.
Thank you. And now I will open this up to a public hearing. Has it been advertised?
This was advertised. It was submitted to Indiana, the state of Indiana's Gateway, on September 2nd, 2022 at 2:40 PM.
Is there anybody from the public that would like to speak on this specific reading? Anyone like to speak from the public? Hearing none, I will now close the public hearing. This will now move on to October 3rd. And Councilwoman Konechny.
Your Honor, I move to introduce an ordinance read for the first time in its entirety.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Councilwoman Konechny.
Ordinance for appropriations and tax rates. Be it ordained by the LaPorte Common Council that for all the expenses of the LaPorte Municipal Airport Authority for the year ending December 31st, 2023, the sums herein specified are hereby appropriated and ordered set apart out of the several funds herein named and for the purposes herein specified, subject to the laws governing the same. Such sums herein appropriated shall be held to include all expenditures authorized to be made during the year unless otherwise expressly stipulated and provided for by law. In addition, for the purposes of raising revenue to meet the necessary expenses of the LaPorte Municipal Airport Authority, the property tax levies and property tax rates are herein specified are included herein. Budget Form 4-B for all funds must be completed and submitted in the manner prescribed by the Department of Local Government Finance. This ordinance shall be in full force and effect from and after its passage and approval from the LaPorte Common Council. Funds, Fund Code 0180, Fund Name, Debt Service, Adopted Budget, $117,400. Adopted Tax Levy, $125,000. Adopted Tax Rate, 0.0205. Fund Code 8101, Fund Name, Special Airport General, Adopted Budget, $732,700. Adopted Tax Levy, $419,385. Adopted Tax Rate, 0.0689. Fund Code 8190, Special Airport Cumulative Building. Adopted Budget, $300,800. Adopted Tax Levy, $130,362. Adopted Tax Rate, 0.0214. For the total amount of adopted budget of $1,150,900. Adopted tax levy, $674,747, and adopted tax rate, 0.1108. End of ordinance.
Thank you. We do have members from the airport. Would anyone dare come forward and speak specifically to this, or?
We have three airport people.
Ed, come forward, sir. State your name and address for the record.
For the record, my name is Ed Volk. I live at 206 Willow Bend Drive here in LaPorte, and I'm president of the airport board. I'll be very brief because I know we're getting to the end. Budget looks a lot like it did last year. We've got a 2.11% increase in the budget. I think that's probably a good statistic, except it's not a good statistic from the point of view of we've having inflation at 8 or 9%. It's going to be difficult to make ends meet the way we have in the past, and we've got some substantial expenditures coming up, but I think we can do the job with this budget. So unless there are any specific questions, Laura went over the numbers pretty clearly, and I know you've all seen Form 4B and Budget Form 2 and Budget Form 1, so if you've got any questions on those, I'll try to answer them. If not, if I can't, I've got Jim Sharon, who's a CPA and who really put this budget together, and he can get into the weeds with you.
Thank you, Ed. Questions, comments regarding the council?
I'd prefer to stay out of those weeds.
I will now open the meeting up to a public hearing. Has this been advertised?
This was submitted to the State of Indiana's Gateway on September 1st, 2022 at 3:07 PM, after I got the okay from Jim.
The public hearing is open. Anybody from the public would like to speak? Is there anybody from the public that would like to speak? Hearing none, we will close the public hearing, and that will move to October 3rd as well. Moving to other business. Any other business? I would just like to thank Brett Benversi and his team for an outstanding weekend of the Sunflower Fair, and all the volunteers, businesses that made it special. It was a fantastic weekend, so looking forward to more. With that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Pardon me?
Second.
All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Have a great night, everybody.